All right, let's see if I've got this thing on now. Okay, cool. I'm going live on Facebook. Good afternoon. It's Troy. Hey, I want to spend a few minutes talking to you a little bit about the customer experience or customer service and why do we even care? When we go to the store as a customer, do we view the customer experience or customer service any differently? So do you think about, well, that's my experience or I got good customer service? Do you distinguish the difference between the two? A lot of times as retailers, restaurants, property management companies, all that, we are, the big buzzwords now are delivering on a customer experience. And whose responsibility it is, who defines what that customer experience is all about. Reading different articles, you see that maybe some people feel like defining the customer experience is actually at the executive level. Maybe it's the CEO or the CMO, the chief marketing officer, who is in charge of delivering the customer experience. I would say that they're probably responsible for defining the customer experience and defining for their team, for their leadership, and also defining from a point of support, what dollar support do they give for programs to implement that. But I honestly believe that delivering on the customer experience or the customer service is very individual. It's very unique to each one of us, how we deliver it to our customers, to the people that we deal with on a daily basis, as well as how we experience it. You can go to a store and you can have a great experience, great customer service. I go to that very same location and I have a horrible experience, and it's all based on the expectations. So in that, the chief executive officer and maybe the chief marketing officer have defined those expectations. But coming from a background in retail from all levels, starting as a bag boy in a grocery store, delivering on the customer experience was my responsibility. Right? It's everybody's responsibility. Each individual employee, as they interpret that customer experience, is going to be in charge of delivering that customer experience. How would you want to be treated if you were that customer? Now, how would you want to be treated, and what tools have been provided to you helps you deliver that customer experience? And so, if you are in the, I'm going to take a moment and make a quick plug here. If you are in the retail, restaurant, property management industry, or you're a service provider who works for those industries and provides services to those industries, and you want to understand better how to apply site surveys for greater visibility at the locations, or to report service that you provide at each one of those locations, go to goeview.com and download our free risk assessment checklist. And thanks for giving me a second to make that plug. But, going back to the customer experience, who's responsible for delivering that customer experience? So when I was a store manager, my district manager helped me define the corporate vision of what that looked like. But I had to deliver on it as a store manager, as a location manager, as a unit manager every single day. And so how did I do that? And I wanted to kind of give you a few action steps that we typically used. And this really could be for any organization, whether you're retail, restaurant, property management, you own your own small office, maybe you own 3 locations or just 1 location. I think these 3 items really resonate and can be applied to any of them. So let's talk about the first one. Inspect it daily. Inspect what daily? Inspect everything daily. I was reading an article that said that most customers' experiences start when they interact with an employee, and they either through the phone, where they've either called the location or they show up at the location. And yes, on the phone, I would say that if that's your first experience with a retailer or with any company, that begins your experience, that interaction. But when you show up at the location, that's your first experience. You haven't interacted with anyone yet. but you have an impression. We are judgmental by nature as human beings, and so we judge books by their cover, right? When you drive up to a location, what does it look like? That's your first impression. Now, does that impression meet what your expectations were that were defined from the marketing that you've seen, from the communications? Maybe you saw a post on Facebook, maybe you saw something that made you go to that location. And companies spend millions and millions of dollars to get you to that location, only to be potentially ruined or upset by the fact that when you drive up, there are shopping carts everywhere, or the landscape is in poor condition, or you drive up at night and you're driving up to the Awful House instead of the Waffle House, or Allmart instead of Walmart, and the signage is out. Did somebody know about it? Did somebody inspect it? Did somebody do it? So inspect it daily. I can remember when I was an assistant manager working in stores, I worked for a gentleman who made a game out of doing inspections. We were required to do an inspection 3 times a day, which means that you start outside and you walk the entire building with a notepad every day, inspecting every part of that particular building. There would be days when I would come in and I had closed the night before, and from when I closed the night before, there would be a burnt light bulb sitting on my desk from where I missed it from the night before and didn't get it changed out from that particular store walk that I did. Or there would be a pile of trash on my desk the next day or the afternoon after I had done my morning walk, and a little note that said, "Did you miss me?" It meant that I wasn't being as observant as I needed to be. And he made it a game and made it a challenge that you would come in the next day and not have any items on your desk. It was a great job. You were observant enough and you caught everything when you were inspecting that location. So how often do you inspect your locations? Do you have your store teams do it daily? As a store manager, do you do it daily? As a dental practice officer or office owner, when's the last time you inspected your location? Looked at, is there dust on the picture frames? Does the door work? What does the lettering look like? Are the carpets in good condition? A lot of times we're so focused on what we have to get done that day, and that there's an urgent thing happening. The truck's backing up to the back door. I've got a delivery. I've got people who've called off, that we fail to inspect the environment that our customers are exposed to. And that's going to be a huge factor for them to judge whether or not they're getting great service or experience. So I would recommend that you make sure that you inspect it daily, monthly, quarterly, however often it is, inspect it. So the second piece that I want to talk about is, how do you look for and report on the common areas of concern? So you've walked your location today. Now, if you're doing it properly, you're doing it tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day, and you're taking notes. And now if you went back and look at those notes over the last week, the last month, the last year, what are the common things that you're addressing on a regular basis? Are these issues created by operational concerns? Maybe a light fixture, you continue to replace a light bulb in a particular light fixture, so now it's a bigger problem. How are you reporting that bigger problem? Are you addressing it? Are you getting it taken care of? Or are you just letting it go and making it just keeps getting on the list every single week or every single day? Or how about, is it a process? Is there something broken in your particular process that keeps creating a customer experience or a customer impression issue? How often are as a retailer, and that's what my frame of reference is most of all, but also as a retail customer. But as a retailer, how often are your people going out and grabbing the shopping carts off of the lot and bringing them in? Are they bringing them in hundreds at a time? Are they bringing it in 10 at a time? How are they actually doing that? Or how often is the trash can getting emptied? Something as simple as that can create a huge impression. But the biggest piece is looking for those common steps so that you can address them more globally. And now you can make sure that If you needed to change the process, make a different checklist, create a reminder, even if it's an alarm clock as to how often, the folks go out and get the shopping carts off of the lot, watering the plants on the lot. All of those types of things are huge when it comes to delivering on your customer's experience. Or the last piece, and the one that we tend to sometimes forget about, is it the people? Do I have the right people in the right places at the right times to deliver the experience that I have defined? Now, yes, the corporate office has defined their experience through marketing, through an overall plan, through branding, all of that kind of stuff. But it all comes back down to me. I'm the one facing the customer. So I am representing and creating that service and that experience. That's the piece that makes the most difference. How am I impacting that experience each and every single day with the customers that I interact with? I am the brand. I am the experience that particular customer interacts with. So I am Target. I am Walmart. I am whoever I'm working for. That's what I am, and that's what represents it to the customer. So do I have the right people in the right place? If you don't, those are topics for a different conversation, by all means. The last one, I was listening to a great book. It was about, I'm not going to name the book necessarily right now, but it's really about how, well, it's called Extreme Ownership. So I will name the book. And if you like self-help books and things like that, you want to go out and get this particular book. But one thing stuck with me: discipline builds freedom. Now, that seems counter intuitive, that discipline breeds or builds freedom. But in this particular case, the discipline of executing a store walk every day or multiple times during the day, a discipline of looking at the operational issues on a regular basis and how they impact the customer, a discipline of the process review, a discipline of how you're doing all these things and delivering that customer experience, even if you are the only one that's looking at it, for yourself and how you're dealing with your particular customers. Make a discipline of reviewing it on a regular basis. Make it personal. Again, go back to how am I delivering on that customer experience? And I'm going back to, again, the multi-unit retail restaurant. If you're in that business and you're regularly visiting your locations and you're regularly reporting for your locations, how is that transmitted or translated down to each individual employee? Do they understand what's important to you as the leader about what that condition of that particular property looks like, what the condition of that particular building looks like, how does the sales floor look, was it recovered last night? All of those different types of things, those all speak to customer experience. And so those top three things I want you to take away: 1, inspect it regularly. 2, look for the common areas or issues and find a way to report on them so that you can deal with them on a larger basis. I'm talking about one location here. Imagine if you have 1,000 locations or 10,000 locations. How are you collecting the information, delivering the information so that you can change the habits or make sure that you're driving the experience that you want in your company or your organization? And then discipline builds freedom. Make it personal, and make it a personal discipline to execute on this every single day, every single week, every single month. Again, if you are in the retail, restaurant, property management industry, or a service provider who provides services to those industries, go to goevu.com, get the free download for the risk assessment checklist. I'd love to get your feedback on it, and I certainly hope it helps you in this particular aspect of it and deliver a great customer service. Thanks for your time, and we'll talk to you soon.